So what I have here is the Sacramento Kings, lineup from March, whenever the last game was. De'Aaron Fox at point guard. They had Harrison Barnes, Yelisa, Harry Giles. Marvin Bagley was injured for most of the games. Okay. So what I have here is the Sacramento Kings, lineup and pretty much their roster from their final game of the season. Um, they have Buddy Hield off the bench. I'm pretty sure. Well, I'm not sure if they had Holmes at power forward or whatever. Alex Len at power forward. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It was these three. They were pretty much rotating, as bigs. So doesn't really matter much. Marvin Bagley was nursing an injury. He didn't play essentially the whole year. Only had, I think, like 13 games played. Jabari Parker, he might have actually gotten minutes, but I didn't check that. Can't really remember a game where he played, so I put him right there. Kyle Guy, Justin James, two young guys who, well, Justin James actually saw the court somewhat often. Kyle Guy, I'm pretty sure he was in the G League most of the year. But anyways, let me get started. The first move that I was thinking about. Well, first let's look at Marvin Bagley. Okay, he was injured pretty much the whole year. 13 games played, 6 games started, uh, 14 points per game. So not terrible. He didn't shoot nearly as well as he did his first year. Where is it? Oh yeah, 46 from the field. That's pretty bad for a big like him, 6'11", 240. I don't really see how he fits with the team. He kind of stops the ball, and the Kings, of course, are a fast break team, running gun. So I'm not sure how he fits. He stops the ball. Um, you know, he's a good rebounder. I'll give him that. He's a great rebounder. But I mean, that's not very necessary when you have a strong Holmes. He'll definitely go up and get it. Let's see. Let me check. I picked the wrong year. So as you can see, post All-Star break, once it loads, post All-Star break, let's see, when is that? So starting with this Golden State Warriors game and then finishing off against Portland, you can see, you can see 48% from the field, almost 40% from three. So on, just 2 attempts, but still, 9 rebounds per game. He was putting in a lot of work right there. 19 points per game. Like if you got someone like this for the whole year, obviously you'd be happy about it. But that's not what we're getting from Marvin Bagley. Mm, you know, that's just what it is. With the coaching change and everything, Marvin Bagley's just not a good fit for this team. So what I'm gonna do is I traded Marvin Bagley to New York Knicks. They can use an extra player with RJ Barrett, and when they have a center like Mitchell Robinson, it makes it easier for someone like Marvin Bagley, who's not much of a paint defender, I suppose. He could have his on-ball defense, whatever. He doesn't have to stay in the paint. And you don't want Marvin Bagley playing center. So we get Kevin Knox. I'm not, I'm, I'm not much of a fan of him. He does have some some good possessions, but he shoots 38% from the field. Let's see, this wants to play. So you see Kevin Knox, you know, he's a good scorer. I mean, not really. He has a good scoring, you know, he has a good scoring ability, but he just can't put the ball in the basket, pretty much. Defensively, probably below average. Um, he could be a decent backup, I suppose, but I'm not really looking at Marvin Bagley. And something else with this trade, the most important part that I forgot, I was thinking a future first from New York. I don't think Marvin Bagley has terrible trade value. I think it's pretty high. Kevin Knox, however, I think he's a lost cause. I think most general managers see him as a lost cause. Maybe a change of scenery could do him well. So that's why, he has the potential to be a backup there along with Kent Bazemore. And Kent Bazemore is on the last year of his contract, $19 million. If we could bring him back, less than $8 million per year, maybe like a 2-year deal, that would be fantastic, I think. So on to the drafts. Someone that I was, really looking for. And also, let me change some of this. So Rashawn Holmes, he'll be the starter. Let's see, Rashawn Holmes. There you go. Alex Len, that'll be reserved for Harry Giles right there. I mean, he could play the 4 as well. Let me just put Alex Len there. Len's, he's been pretty good, but I think, let's see. Because I think he might be on the last year of his contract. Yeah. So it's probably unlikely that we do bring him back. But someone that I was looking forward to in the draft was Precious Achiuwa. Not much of a shooter, which is a liability, but he will work well with the fast-paced Sacramento Kings play style. He's good at he's a good runner. He can get to the basket, and he's really physical. He can get those tough lays, and then obviously he's a great shot blocker, a decent defender. In the case that the Kings do, make the playoffs, getting, like a 15 to 20 pick, this would be our guy, I think. Precious Achiuwa. He can play the 3. He'd probably fit in right here. Because he's not much of a shooter right now. If we could, maybe develop like a corner 3 shot, I would be comfortable putting him at the 3. Let's see. I'll show you some tape right here. So you see Precious Achiuwa, number 55. He's got a big frame, high motor player. I'm just really big fan. Great shot blocker. Obviously, what I said before, high motor and everything like that. Everything you could use in a low mid 15 to 20 pick. If he could just develop his shot, I think he'll be a great player for the team. Let me just get off that though. And then also Bogdanovich, I like him as a starter. I think 2 ball handlers will do pretty well. Buddy Hield, I think, he's kind of a shot chucker. Corey Joseph, keeps him in check. It'll get him some open shots. Corey Joseph, obviously a great backup point guard. Very passive. Um, Great defender. Sometimes he's got to take his shots because it ruins the flow of the game. But for the most part, he takes smart shots. Not a dumb player. I'm a big fan of him. Ken Bazemore as well. Great defender. Helps out with Buddy Hield, Corey Joseph. But anyways, back to Buddy Hield. I like him at the bench because as you can see here, in the 20 games he's played off the bench, or I'm not sure if all these, 20 games he's played since coming off the bench versus Chicago. 46 from the field and 48 from three. And, it's not a great sample size. However, it shows his potential. I think he'll do pretty well on the bench. He could always slide in with the starters. 97 from 97 from the free throw. We're not too good of a free throw shooting team. De'Aaron Fox, probably, I think it's like low 70s, maybe high 60s. Who else? Oops. I think I messed it up. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I messed. Oh my goodness. Okay. 48 on 9 attempts per game. That is quite the feat. 19.4 points per game. That's essentially what he was averaging as a starter. So I'm happy with Buddy Hield. Here's the stats as a starter. 36 from three. 20 points per game. I mean, that's not very efficient. 41 from the field. Yeah, I like him off the bench. I don't think it's more of a shooting slump. I think it's just more of a fit type of thing. I think Buddy Hield off the bench is great. 20 mil per year. Yeah, that is a lot for a bench player, but can't do much about it. Let's see. So another player I was thinking about was I feel like, okay, hear me out. Aaron Nesmith with Buddy Hield over here, Ken Bazemore. I feel like that would be like a crazy shooting tandem right there. But that's not what I was thinking about. More, I was actually considering Devin Vassell. He's kind of on the thinner side. 6'7" though. He can be a decent small forward as a backup right now. He's a what's it called? He's a decent scorer. I mean, not terrible. Great defender. Great defender. If you watch this kind of breakdown, he's a absolutely great defender. Now I love Devin Vassell, to be honest. I think he fits well with the team. Another high motor guy, plays defense. Doesn't shot chuck. For the most part, takes smart shots. I mean, in college, you got to take some bad ones. In the NBA, you got to take some bad ones, but for the most part, he's a smart shooter. Let me get to the, oops, let me get to the stats. So, in his second year, averaged just about 13 points per game. That's not very, for college, but when you get a great defender like him, you know, scoring isn't much of a concern. 41 from the three-pointer, from the college three. So, I mean, he can shoot pretty well. 53 from two, just below 50% from the field. He's a smart player. I think we need that, to pair up with this guy right here because, gotta keep him in check, I suppose. But, I think he'd be a great replacement. Whoops. Great replacement for Ken Bazemore. Kevin Knox can also be there. Kevin Knox, I mean, he could play the 4. I'm not really there for it. I think, I think there's someone in free agency that could slide in there. And then even so, you could put Alex Len at the 5, Harry Giles at the 4. I don't think that's a problem. If you bring a shooter like Devin Vassell, but if we do make it to the playoffs, I would bring in Precious Chua. No, I wouldn't put him at the 3. I would put him at the 4. He's kind of undersized well, not really. He's not too undersized as a 4. I think he would do well. People said that he could be the small ball 5. No, I don't agree with that. I think the 4 fits him well. I think the 3, if we had Bielisa right here, I'd be confident putting him at the 3. But this is if we make the playoffs and we get a higher or a lower pick. This is what I'd be thinking. But say we do get like a pick 10, pick 12. I'm not sure how the lottery is gonna work. So it's kind of confusing me. But Devin Vassell is definitely someone that I really want. Someone else, someone's alright. Patrick Williams, he shoots like 32% from college 3, but he has a high motor as well. Great defender, athletic. People said he could play the 4, probably not. I think he'd be a pretty good 3. He's not much of a shooter, so you can't have someone like Harry Giles at the 4 if you're gonna get Patrick Williams or Precious Achiuwa. So those are 2 players. If they make the playoffs, and then Devin Vassell if you get like a top 12 pick. And say we do get Devin Vassell, this is how it's looking. Harry Giles right here, and then you have Alex Len. And something that goes under the radar is Harry Giles' playmaking ability, and I think that bodes well with someone like Alex Len. They could feed off each other very well, and that's all you need in a bench unit. Just spark plugs like that. Corey Joseph, Devin Vassell, Harry Giles, Alex Len. That's all you need in a bench, and then the starters, it's pretty much the same as what they've been rolling out the whole time. I like that lineup. We've been winning, and I think it fits well. I mean, you can even put Devin Vassell starting, but I don't think Harrison Barnes should be a backup. But that's what I think. Not sure how long this video is, but it's probably not very long. I mean, I don't really have any thoughts. My mind is empty, and I'm pretty depressed. So it's kind of hard to think about stuff and have coherent thoughts. Coherent thoughts. So yeah, this is pretty much what I thought of. Kyle Guy, I like him as a person. I don't think he's ready to be, over here. And then, Alex Len, he's that backup spot. So when the Kings underperform in the Orlando tournament, I'm hoping this is a roster. I really do not want Marvin Bagley on my team. That is pretty much the only point of this video. So, yeah, thanks.